Ever catch yourself staring down the tracks, picturing yourself up there in that driver's seat?
Yeah, it's got that, that kind of romantic appeal to it, doesn't it?
Totally. But today, we're taking off the rose-colored glasses
Yeah.
and diving deep into what it really takes to land a train driver position.
We've got just the guide for that.
Exactly. We're joined by well, not literally joined.
Right, not literally.
But we've got the insights of career coach Richard McMunn to guide us. He's got this fantastic YouTube video all about acing those train driver interviews.
He makes some really, really good points in there. Like, it's not all choo-choo, next stop adventure.
Seriously. One of the things that really hit me was when McMunn talked about the mental stamina required. He uses this example of the London to Preston route, a full 2 hours of intense concentration.
Whoa!
I know, right? 2 hours. I'm like, my attention span starts to fade after about 2 episodes of, like, anything.
Oh, tell me about it. And it's not even just like, stowing awake for those 2 hours. It's
Yeah.
that laser focus he talks about, managing the systems, those signals, being ready for, well, anything.
It's true. And he actually mentions that train drivers use these specific techniques to, like, almost like mindfulness exercises to keep their concentration sharp, especially on those longer routes.
Wow, that's wild. It really
Yeah.
is like they're training to be like, mental athletes on top of everything else.
Exactly. Speaking of everything else, McMunn breaks down the role of a train driver into 10 key areas.
10.
10. And let me tell you, it's eye-opening how much depth there is to each one. Of course, safety is like the big one.
Makes sense with all the responsibility involved.
Absolutely, especially with all the scrutiny that train operating companies are under these days. It's like McMunn says, you're not just a driver, you're like an ambassador for the whole company.
It's true. And that actually leads nicely into the customer service aspect of the job, which he touches on too. Think about it. For a lot of those passengers, the driver might be the only company representative they actually, interact with.
It's a really good point. So first impressions really matter. He doesn't go into detail about uniforms or anything, but I'm imagining like a crisp hat, the gloves.
You got to have the look.
Greeting everyone with a smile.
Totally. But circling back to the technical stuff for a sec, McMunn really goes into detail about the kinds of questions they'll hit you with in the interview. He calls them like probing questions. Like you might say, oh yeah, in my past job I was super flexible. But then they'll come back with, okay, but did it bug you to come in on your day off?
Oof. Yeah, that's getting down to the nitty-gritty.
Right.
It makes you realize they want more than just a canned response. They want to know you've actually thought about what this job means, especially when it comes to handling pressure.
Absolutely. And that's actually a perfect example of where his emphasis on the STAR method comes in.
Yeah.
It's brilliant advice, not even just for aspiring train drivers, but for like anyone prepping for a big interview.
Okay, so let's break down this whole STAR method, shall we? Is it like as straightforward as it sounds?
It really is.
Yeah.
Basically, it's all about like, presenting your experience in this structured way that just like clicks with their questions.
Okay, I like that.
So you start with the S, the situation. You basically paint a picture for them. What was this specific challenge, this task that you faced?
Right. So it's not just like, I was responsible for safety. It's more like,
Yeah, it's more specific.
I spotted this potential hazard over on the platform, something that could have like really delayed the train's departure.
There you go. That's perfect. Then you move on to the T, the task. So like, what was your specific role in that situation? What were you brought in to do?
Right. So you're setting the scene, basically, and then you're saying, okay, here's where I came in.
Exactly. And then this is the good part. You get to the A, the action.
Yeah.
So like, what steps did you actually take? How did you deal with that situation?
So this is where you get to like really highlight your skills.
Exactly. This is where you shine. You show them, okay, this is what I do. This is how I put my skills into practice.
Awesome. And then the final R result, I'm guessing that's all about like the positive impact of your actions.
Bingo. You close that loop, right?
Mhm.
You show them how your actions, your skills, how they led to like a win. Did you keep those passengers safe? Did you make things more efficient? Did you like smooth over a conflict? Whatever it was.
It's like you're telling a mini success story.
Yes,
Exactly.
but one that's like totally tailored to their question.
Speaking of questions, McMunn also gives some examples of those, what did he call them? Those curveball probing questions.
Oh yeah, those are good.
Do any like really stick out in your memory?
Well, he mentions that they might ask something like, okay, give me an example of a time you had to deal with a difficult passenger. What was going on and how did you handle it?
Oof.
Right.
Because that's not just about like the technical skills anymore.
Mm,
That's about like, people skills.
totally. That emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence, yeah.
Yeah.
And you've got to think on your feet, maybe de-escalate the situation, but, stay calm and professional the whole time. I've got to say, I'd be a little nervous about that one.
Oh, absolutely. And like honestly, that's totally understandable. These interviews, they're designed to be tough. They want to really know, can you handle this? Do you have what it takes? And remember those long hauls we were talking about?
Yeah.
McMunn, he mentions that they might ask about how you stay alert during those long stretches, especially like on a night shift.
Oh, that's a really good one.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to be like, yeah, I can stay awake, no problem.
Right. It's totally different.
It's totally different. Can you, like, really stay focused, alert for hours in the middle of the night?
Totally. And that actually ties back into those mindfulness techniques we were talking about.
Oh, yeah.
It's not even just for the interview, it's for the actual job.
Right.
He really emphasized that, like maintaining a healthy lifestyle is
Yeah.
key. Getting enough sleep, having strategies to fight fatigue. Being a train driver, it's so much more than just, the technical stuff. It's about like you as a whole person, your commitment to safety, to service, to just like taking care of yourself.
It's funny. We always think about like train travel being so, I don't know, scheduled, like everything runs on the strict timetable. But after this deep dive, it's clear that being a train driver, it takes a ton of flexibility.
Oh, absolutely. Because let's be real, delays happen,
Right.
signals fail. And you got to be ready to just roll with those punches, stay calm, be clear with what's going on, and keep everyone else on board informed.
And hopefully not too panicked, right?
Exactly. Which actually, McMunn had this great example. He talked about a potential interview question around that whole scenario. Something like, imagine there's a big signaling issue, and it's causing a major delay.
Mabo.
Right. And they ask you, okay, how are you going to communicate this to the passengers, especially the ones who are, already a little on edge?
Oof. Yeah, that's a tough one because it's not just about like relaying the information, is it? You've got to manage expectations,
Totally.
stay calm yourself.
All while dealing with the technical side of things, too.
Right. It really highlights just how multifaceted this job is.
It really does. This whole deep dive has been, like, eye-opening for me, honestly.
Me too.
It's not just about, can you drive this train from point A to point B? There's leadership involved, communication,
Yeah.
problem solving. You got to be committed to safety, obviously, but also to customer service.
It's almost like you're a pilot, a customer service rep, and like a crisis manager all in one. Wow. So for anyone listening who is now even more sure that they want to be a train driver,
Yeah.
what would you say is like the most important thing to keep in mind as they, go through the application process, the interview process?
Honestly, I think McMunn nailed it.
Ah,
Just be authentic, be prepared, and be passionate.
love that.
Show them that you've actually sat down and thought about what being a train driver means. Not just like the romantic ideal of it,
Right.
but the actual day-to-day, the weight of that responsibility.
Yeah.
But also, like, let your excitement show. This is a cool job. It's unique. It's rewarding. If you're genuinely stoked about it,
Mhm.
they're going to pick up on that.
That's such good advice. And you know what? After this whole deep dive, I'm feeling pretty inspired myself. I might have to check out some of those train driver recruitment pages.
Do it.
But for now, that's about all the time we have. So as you continue on your journey to becoming a train driver, we hope this deep dive has given you some, valuable insights, a fresh perspective on what it takes to succeed in this, yes, demanding, but ultimately super fulfilling career.